So I'm Lee Jowett. I'm a Climate Change and Sustainability Research Fellow here at the Institute of Education at Sheffield Hallam University. Research-informed climate approach is something we've been developing at Hallam, which is looking at different parts of a framework around how children learn about climate change. So at the moment, sustainability and climate change doesn't really sit in the national curriculum. So what we've developed is a framework which allows children to explore different parts of climate change that creates a sense of agency, and where children are perhaps anxious or worried about climate change, that we are helping them to talk through those approaches in a localised way, which is very personalised, and then it helps hopefully makes them create the agency that they take action going forward. One of the key things of the project that we wanted to do was giving children agency around climate change. So often we see one of the real challenges is they see things on the news, they see things happening locally, which is potentially quite worrying sometimes. So what we wanted to do was create small actions that children could do, but also work as a group. So one of the things we know about eco-anxiety is by working together in groups, children can often alleviate some of that worry. So for example, one of them's making bath bombs, so looking at reducing plastic is something they can practically do, and they also get to make an activity they can take home to parents and talk about climate change in a non-threatening way. So we've just started to evaluate the project, so we're getting some really early sort of feedback from children and from some of the teachers, the leaders doing the project, and what we've seen so far is really positive feedback around practical action that children are taking. They're talking to their parents, they're talking to family. And one of the other really exciting things that we're seeing is that children are starting to embed this in school. So teachers are saying, well, I'm going to use this again next year with year 6, or I'm going to use this activity year 3. And that's what's really positive for us. This is a project that isn't just a one-off, that actually is then going to be embedded in school curriculums going forward over time. So Project in a Box, Think Climate is one of a number of knowledge exchange projects that we've been working on at Hallam. And it gives us a chance to really test some of those approaches. So within this project, we've been looking very much around localised approaches and personalised. So we'll use some of this evidence to be able to then inform people potentially like the Department for Education. So we know at the moment there's a curriculum review going on, and we're really keen to input some of our ideas into the national picture. So the things we're learning at the moment we can share on future projects, but also try and influence some of the policy changes that we know really do need to happen in education around climate change. So for me, having this as a project, as a civic engagement set of tools, I guess, has been really, really helpful for us in the Institute of Education. So we do a lot of teacher training here, but one of the things that we really want to influence and change is around policy and practice. So whether that's individual schools with their individual curricula, or it's about working with groups of schools to change policy and practice. I think for me that's really important around the civic engagement and the civic agenda. Because what I've seen from historically is the work we do here is really valued, and we've seen as a real benefit to work with partners like schools. So for me this makes a real change and a real policy drive movement within the civic agenda.